Well, it came down to the wire on the finale of The Snake, and though he came in second place, our favorite boxer played an amazing and strategic game all season long. Brett, it is so great to meet you.
Yeah, it's awesome meeting you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, what a ride you've been on this season. I'm curious to know, okay, now that we're done, the whole season has aired. Tell me about your strategy going into the game and how you feel it changed throughout the 10 episodes to that finale, which we'll get to in a minute.
I'm a very spiritual man, so I like to believe I have a strong relationship with God. So my faith had a significant role on my strategy, but I love to play chess. I'm a competitor. I've grown up playing sports my whole life, so I mixing tactics and competition while trying to be my genuine, honorable self in a game of lies and deception and stuff, that was very difficult. So I had to kind of ebb and flow like a snake, I guess you can say, through that. So the premise of all this, my strategy going in was to be the most honest, and it was up to the other people to interpret or have good discernment on whether or not I was being truthful or not. So being honest would actually play to my advantage because it's like I'm assuming that people are already going to either overanalyze. That was my assumption. People were going to overanalyze in general. So my strategy going in was just to be honest, tactical but honest.
But coming in, you immediately had kind of like what I called the Boys Alliance plus Catherine.
Okay. Yeah.
So I also liked watching the evolution of you and Derek. So tell me about how the alliance is and how you stand, and now seeing Catherine and kind of how she was playing both sides. I did like the Boys Alliance though.
Yeah, we get portrayed a certain way, but shout out to Devontae. I mean, he put his character, his whole placement in the competition on the line for me. So I knew I needed to get revenge on Amanda for that later on. But me and the boys, I mean, it was kind of like a natural, it was like an organic relationship. I mean, since I can say everything, we were in the van. How I became friends with Jack, we were in a van and we were eating these soggy sandwiches because it was like 120 degrees out and nobody was eating it. And I was eating it and I turned around and Jack's like, so we kind of just bonded over food. And then Devontae and I, we bonded over something else. And we naturally just became bros. And it was a very grounded and trustworthy relationship. I mean, as you saw, it definitely blossomed. We were ride or die. We're like, let's take it to the finale. Whoever wins, shout out to any of us. Like, we love each other. But we knew that it would put a huge target on our back. So we each had to plant seeds in other relationships for strategic reasons. And those relationships were also genuine. Catherine, I had her back because again, they don't show you everything. I had some caution tape up in my mind with her because I remember when Devontae and we were in the pit, she defended Devontae and not me. All right, yeah, like whatever you say to me goes in one ear and out the other. Like I don't trust you. I had doubts because you're around everyone all the time, and I'm not going to say, "Oh, I overheard this conversation." So it's like when she's telling Jack, "I got your back" every single ceremony and doesn't, like we would tell Jack, like, "Hey, just be aware," and then he would do his thing and talk to as many people as he can because that was just what he did to cope with some stress and stuff. Obviously, he made it all the way to the final six, so like he played it better than Catherine. I just think that Catherine came on a little too strong. I think she showed all of her cards too soon and made so many promises to too many people.
I do want to switch gears because there's something I didn't know I was going to be interviewing you last week. So
Mm.
let's go back to when you were double-headed snake with Jordan.
All right.
Here's how it came across as a viewer.
Right.
It came across that it was just a single-headed snake, and it was Jordan. Do you regret not standing up to her? Because I think Derek had a good plan with trying to get her to pick somebody else first, not Frankie, because now we know how it turns out. So we know who the winner is. So do you think things could have been different had you stood up? Or are there things we didn't see behind the scenes?
I think it went exactly the way it was supposed to. I wasn't trying to get Frankie out, but I was worried that if Frankie and him and I had a we had they don't show it, but Frankie and I we had a, I thought, I mean, I hope he can would agree with this, but him and I we had nothing but a spiritually led and genuine foundation for a friendship. Like our conversations were always beautiful. He respected my alliances, I respected his. I was hoping he was honest with me the whole time, but when we were in the snake layer. The premise of all this is I was really worried that Frank would pick Alyssa. So when I went on the snake layer and I said, hey, respectfully, can Frankie, Derek, can you guys get out of here? Because I haven't even talked to Jordan about what we're going to do yet. And it, from my point of view, and there's no shame towards Jordan. She it was the first double-headed or double snake. She was a girl, like she deserved all of that. But she was kind of like acting as if she was in charge of everything. And I was like, all right, how can I go about this? How can I make sure that Frank is going to choose Derek? And how do I know that Derek's not going to screw me over and choose Amanda? Because it showed him talking to Amanda saying, I have different plans. But I'm not going to be like, I'm so smart. I knew about this. I had an intuition where it's like, I can't forget about their alliance, but I'm also banking on a gentleman's agreement. And he hasn't broken that yet. So if I can guarantee Derek's safety from Frank, I have like an 80%, 8 out of 100%, 80-20 chance of Derek abiding by our agreement.
Looking back, is there anyone else besides John you think would have voted for you in that finale?
Catherine, Derek, Jack, McLean. I don't think Jacob would have. John, that was an uphill battle. I really, really tried. Like, and this is, again, I'm humble in defeat and victory. It happened the way it happened. I'm not going to be a sore loser. Do I think it was a little unfair for reasons I won't explain? A little bit, I do. John and I had a conversation after the ceremony that would solidify exactly what I'm saying. But again, it was kind of ironic. I thought it was a little unfair. Thought it was a little biased from a competitive point of view. But from a personal point of view, yeah, good job, Frank. You know, you won. Good.
Brett, you did an amazing job. You were a fan favorite. You did a great job. You're strategic. And like you said in your finale speech, you were a competitor and you wanted to compete against other competitors. So I appreciate that. I think you did an amazing job. I hope you had a great time. We loved watching you this season. We wish you all the best, and maybe we'll see you on more reality shows. You never know.
Maybe you have to keep a lookout. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
So, full disclosure, that interview was almost 20 minutes long. I had to cut it down, so I'm not going to release the full thing. However, he spilled some tea on some pretty fun stuff. I'll be releasing clips of him talking about certain things that he did reveal.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. He's a great talker. We had a great time, great interviewer. But he had some things to say.
So the main thing I gathered from the finale was that Brett was actually a big sweetheart. Which when I first started watching, I was like, he's a boxer, he's an athlete, maybe not the sweetest, the kindest, but he really was. That interview proved it too. So.
Yo, I've liked everybody I've interviewed. I've liked.
There you go.
I told you.
Another great interview, Jeremy. All right, you guys, we're gonna catch up with Michael Babcock from TMZ right after this. Don't go anywhere.